Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today, we're digging into a really comprehensive source, the Skillings Mining Intelligence Global Roundup from June 8th, 2025.
Yeah, it's packed with detail.
And our mission really is to go beyond just the headlines. We want to pull out the key insights, the nuggets that show you what's genuinely shifting in global mining right now.
Okay.
Because, mining might seem distant, but it underpins so much. Our tech, geopolitics, environmental questions, community impacts, it's all in there.
It really is.
This roundup takes us on a bit of a world tour, looking at different minerals, different strategies playing out.
And what jumped out at me straight away was the bottom line summary in the source. It's not just a list. It frames everything around these, fundamental shifts.
Okay.
Things like countries tightening geopolitical control over resources, a big push for adding value at home, not just exporting raw stuff.
Right.
Then you've got exciting new discoveries, a real demand for responsible expansion that's key, and of course technology driving growth, AI, automation, all that.
Oh. So those are the big themes running through it.
Exactly. And it highlights how things like sustainability, protecting heritage, dealing with local policies, these aren't side issues anymore. They are absolutely central, core to whether projects or even national plans fly or fail.
Got it. Okay, let's dive into that first big theme then. Geopolitical plays. Supply chain control. The roundup kicks off with China, right? Rare earth magnets.
That's right. It flies this new tracking system China's bringing in for anyone exporting rare earth magnets.
Tracking system. Meaning what exactly?
Meaning exporters have to report really detailed stuff, who their clients are, the volumes they're selling. It sounds bureaucratic maybe, but the implication is significant.
Okay, how so?
Well, it just adds another layer of control for Beijing, reinforcing their dominant position. Remember, this comes after those export restrictions back in April on specific rare earths.
Ah, yes, I remember that. Dysprosium, terbium.
Yttrium, gadolinium, samarium, lutetium, scandium, the Roundup lists them. So this new tracking, it gives China much finer control. Who's buying what, where it's going, its leverage, potential to disrupt very specifically.
And just to remind everyone, these specific rare earths are crucial for high-tech magnets.
Absolutely essential. Think electric vehicles, wind turbines, advanced electronics. So controlling the supply chain means controlling access to key modern technologies, basically.
Right. So if China's tightening its grip, how are others reacting? The EU, for instance. The Roundup mentions them.
Yeah, the EU is definitely making moves. They've been strengthening their Critical Raw Materials Act that kicked in April 2024.
Okay.
And they've launched this thing called the ICESRM Hub. The idea is to, first, help companies find deposits within Europe, and second, crucially, to cut through some of the red tape involved in getting permits across different countries.
So boost home supply and make it faster to get projects off the ground.
Exactly. But they're not just looking inwards. The Roundup points out they've added 13 overseas projects to their strategic list.
Oh, interesting. Like where?
The source gives examples like Serbia's Jadar lithium project, rare earth sites in South Africa and Canada, and graphite over in Greenland.
Wow. Okay.
So this isn't just talk. It's the EU actively trying to build alternative supply chains, less reliance on single sources. It's a clear strategic counter move in this global resource game.
That makes sense. And that ties into another theme you mentioned, countries wanting to keep more value inside their borders. The Roundup has a really strong example from Gabon, doesn't it?
It does. Gabon, which the source notes is the world's second biggest manganese producer, is making a really bold play.
What are they doing?
They plan to completely phase out exports of unprocessed manganese ore. The deadline is 2029.
Wow. Phase out raw exports entirely.
Yeah. The goal is explicit.
Wow.
Force the development of refining capacity in Gabon. So instead of just shipping out rocks, they want to export higher value products like ferromanganese.
That's a major shift in strategy.
It is. The economic thinking is clear. Capture more profit, create industrial jobs, build the economy at home. A powerful statement about, resource nationalism and trying to move up the value chain.
Okay, let's talk continents now. Peru. Always a big player, especially in copper. The Roundup seems pretty positive on their production outlook.
Yeah, the numbers look good for the formal sector. They're forecasting copper output rising from 2.7 million tons this year to 2.8 million in 2025.
That's significant growth.
It is. And investment is strong, too. Forecast is $4.8 billion for 2025, after nearly $5 billion in 2024. Plus, Q1 output this year was already up about 4%. So the official mining sector seems to be doing well.
But Peru, it's often a complex picture, right? The Roundup touches on challenges, too.
Absolutely. It makes a point of highlighting the ongoing serious problem of illegal gold mining, particularly in regions like Pataz.
And the impact of that.
While the source notes it fuels violence, which is terrible, and causes really bad water pollution, it's a stark contrast to those positive official numbers, showing you the other side, the unregulated, damaging side of mining there.
Right, a reminder of the complexities on the ground. And there was another interesting Peru item, totally different, something about the Nazca lines. Ancient history meeting modern mining.
Yes, that was fascinating. So it's on that balancing act, industry versus heritage. The government had apparently proposed shrinking the protected buffer zones around the Nazca line.
Which are a World Heritage Site, huge importance.
Exactly. But the key thing the Roundup highlighted was that they reversed that plan
Oh, they did. Why?
because of strong criticism. The worry was that smaller buffer zones would leave the ancient geoglyphs vulnerable to, well, unauthorized mining creeping in. So pulling back on that is seen as a win for protecting that incredible cultural heritage.
Good to hear. Okay, moving from established mining regions to the excitement of new finds, the Roundup mentions Finland and a potential international gold rush.
Yeah, this sounds quite exciting. A company called Indomines reported what the source basically calls a blockbuster discovery. It's at their Ukulanvara site.
Blockbuster, what did they find?
Get this. In just one drill hole, they hit 3 separate high-grade gold zones.
3 zones in one hole.
Yeah. And the assays, the measure of gold concentration, were apparently nearing 10 grams per ton, which is, exceptionally high grade.
Oh.
And what makes it really stand out, according to the Roundup, is that this came from only their initial 12 drill holes, just the first look.
So very early stage, very promising results.
Extremely promising. The find was apparently so significant they've just decided to extend the exploration program indefinitely. That's the kind of news that gets explorers everywhere buzzing.
I bet. That's definitely attention grabbing. Okay, while Finland explores, Australia is bringing a massive new mine online, Rio Tinto's iron ore project.
That's right. Rio Tinto's Western Range iron ore mine in the Pilbara region of Western Australia. It's a big one. We're talking a $2 billion project. It's a joint venture. Rio has 54%. China's Baowu has 46%. And the plan is to produce up to 25 million tons of iron ore per year for about 20 years.
A major new source of supply, then.
Definitely. But here's the detail the Roundup emphasizes, tying back to that theme of responsible expansion we talked about earlier.
Okay.
The development explicitly included co-designed heritage and cultural plans. These were developed with the Yinhawangka, traditional owners of the land.
Co-designed, not just consulted on.
Exactly. That emphasis on co-design suggests a deeper level of partnership and respect for cultural heritage. It's an example of how these major projects increasingly need to build in social and cultural responsibility right from the start.
That seems crucial now. Okay, finally, let's zoom out a bit. The Roundup also looked at the wider industry picture, specifically the market for mining equipment.
It did. It cited a Research and Markets report with a pretty positive forecast.
What's the outlook?
Global revenue for mining equipment is projected to climb quite a bit, from around $154 billion in 2024 up to roughly $230 billion by 2030.
That's substantial growth. What's driving it?
The report points to a few key things: increased investment in automation, more use of AI in mining operations, and significantly growing spending on sustainable technology.
Ah, so technology and sustainability again.
Right. It shows the future isn't just about digging more. It's about digging smarter, more efficiently, and ideally with less environmental impact. It links those tech trends directly to the demand for more responsible practices we've seen elsewhere.
So bringing it all together, these different stories, China and the EU vying for critical minerals, Gabon wanting value add, Peru's growth alongside its challenges, Finland's gold discovery, Australia's focus on co-design, the tech boom in equipment, it really paints a picture, doesn't it?
It really does. A picture of a global mining sector in, serious flux. It's grappling with these big questions. Who controls resources? How is the value shared? Where will new discoveries come from? And how do you operate responsibly with communities and the environment?
Yeah.
Understanding these individual snapshots, like the ones in the Roundup, really helps you see the larger forces shaping global economics, technology, and even international relations right now.
Okay, so maybe a final thought for our listeners to chew on.
Sure. So think about this. We know global demand for minerals isn't going away. If anything, it's increasing for the energy transition and tech. At the same time, we see this intense focus on geopolitical control, on local value creation, and on environmental and cultural responsibility.
Right.
So the question is, how might this intensifying race to secure critical resources under these changing rules and expectations actually reshape global alliances and international relations in the coming years? What will that future map look like?
That's definitely something to think about. A complex future unfolding. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive today.